dinner, so that's going to be fun. Joining us now, Rabbi Yankov Menken, Paul Teller. Rabbi, Paul, thanks for being with us, guys. Happy Hanukkah.
Morning.
Good to be with you. Happy Hanukkah.
Okay.
The last day.
Well. Here we are. Last segment we're going to have in 2025. So, guys, let's get to, I'm going to start with Paul here. Then we'll let the rabbi come in. We're going to let the rabbi, don't worry about it. I know you're chomping at the bit because you've now gone viral on social media. You're like an influencer star. I get all that, right? just hang in there. Hold your horses.
Hasn't gone to my head at all. No, nothing doing. Just call me Grand Poobah now.
You are the Grand Poobah. I have no idea what your title is, but it's something big. Anyway, enough of that. I'm going on vacation. But Paul, so
yes, sir.
TPUSA, I've been talking about it all day. I was not thrilled with the whole thing, Shapiro and then Bannon, and although I give Steve a pass because I don't think Steve went in there to do that, but I think he had to defend himself. All right. I mean, they attacked him. He had to defend himself. So, I'm not sure that Steve had a choice, but, there was Tucker and this and that, and they're fighting each other. And then he had these influencers, Benny this and that, and they're all fighting. And a lot of it anti-Israel, dude. A lot of it. What was your take on that?
It's upsetting stuff. Look, it's stuff we've been talking about, right, all year, the three of us on this show. It's very upsetting stuff. I still think, and I think the rabbi would agree, I still would maintain the vast majority of conservatives, Republicans, anybody on the right, they're pro-Israel, they're pro-Jewish people, they're pro-Western civilization based out of Israel, the land of Israel, Jerusalem, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just unfortunately some of these loud voices that tend to show up either at these conferences that get a lot of media attention or just happen to have, a lot of foreign followers on social media. And so they also get a lot of attention. And it's a shame that we're even focused so much on it when I think the vast majority of agreement is pro-Israel, pro-Jewish people, pro-Christian people, right? Because as we've talked about before, anyone who's coming after Jews, the next target is always the believing Christians. And we know as Jews, as believing Jews, that our best friends are the believing Christians. So personally, I would focus more on them. And man, as much as we can, try to just ignore these loud voices that I just wish didn't have the microphone that they have.
I fear that there is an anti-Semitic platform, ideology, philosophy running through some of the younger people at TPUSA. Did you guys pick that up?
I got a question, actually. I don't know the answer to this question, but my impression from listening to clips is that Ben Shapiro was getting a lot more applause than Tucker Carlson. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's right.
That
was my impression too. Yeah.
That tells you that Paul was right, that the vast majority of conservatives from William F. Buckley on down, this whole conservative movement, it has stood for something. It has stood for civilizational values. You look at, and sadly, you look in the Jewish world, there are these left-wing movements that started up 200 years ago where you can very clearly identify what they are not, but you cannot identify what they are for. They are not Christian and they're not Orthodox Jewish. But as far as what they actually believe, some of them believe in God, some of them don't believe in God. Some of them believe that Torah is important. Some of them don't actually believe Torah is important. They really don't have much that they stand for, to the point where their real value today is their progressivism and not their Judaism. And, we can talk about that, but let's go turn back to Turning Point USA. You can't have a situation where there's all this infighting going on about the question of whether conservatism stands for something. Like I always say, there's a very clear distinction between the pro-Israel crowd and the pro-Hamas crowd that doesn't refer to the Middle East. If they are thanking police versus saying bleep the police, you know which demonstration it is. If they're cleaning up after themselves or committing vandalism. If the police are there to protect them from the outside or protect others from them. And finally, are they flying American flags or burning them? The conservative movement does not stand for burning American flags, for saying bleep the police, for tearing down law and order. That is not what conservatism means. If that is the direction of the conservative movement, Tucker Carlson himself, and you see how insane this is. When Tucker Carlson was talking about Pat Buchanan in 1999, he was telling you everything that is wrong with Tucker Carlson in 2025. The man has gone nuts by his own description to say nothing of fruitcake Candace Owens or Nazi Nick Fuentes. I mean, my goodness, these people are now being considered serious influencers in the conservative movement. That's a wasteland.
Wait a minute. So I backed what was this, 92, right? So I backed Buchanan in 92. What does that make me? I don't remember any of this.
Pat Buchanan in 92 was still mentally stable, but by the end of the 90s, he had gone completely anti-Semitic off the rails. Everything was somehow the Jewish problem. And by the way, this is straight out, this is how it happened in the Nazi era. And this is not new. And by the way, it's also how it happened all over the Middle East in every country other than Israel. Look at Syria and Iraq. They ethnically cleansed out all the Jews, and look how fabulously things have gone for them ever since. Civil wars, totalitarian dictatorships, blatant persecution of other minorities, destruction of religious sites. All of that happened with the Jews gone. This idea that there's a Jewish problem, we have to solve the Jewish problem, and things will go great afterwards. Just go look at Germany, Iraq, Syria, Algeria, Morocco, again and again and again. This is something we have seen throughout. And by the way, go look at Europe throughout a lot of the Middle Ages. There are actually economists who said, you know what? The Jews really are good with money. And we know that because every area of Europe that expelled Jews is still suffering economic consequences today. There are parts of Italy that today are doing economically better off than the other ones that expelled their Jews.
So, Paul, the reality of it is, I don't think that the movement by some of our young people that I've talked to, many of them, and I've told you guys on the show, they're frustrated. I don't think it's a deep anti-Semitic view. It's just they have Israel fatigue. Yep. They're just sick of talking about it when they're worried about getting a job out of college, and they believe that the president and all of us spend too much, not all of us, just media, whatever, spend way too much time on Israel, Gaza, this, that, October 7th. Okay, we get it. And not enough time on what the hell am I going to do when I get out of college? And why do we have H-1B visas floating around? And what's my future? And I can't afford anything. And how am I going to buy a home? And how am I going to get married? And all that. And instead, we're running around the Middle East. Who cares? That's what I get.
Yeah, and I think 100% agree with everything that's been said so far. And I think maybe an additional layer is that some young folks who are inherently, forming their ideas, right? They're not fully formed ideological creatures yet. And yet when sometimes they ask any question related to Israel or Jews, some people, I'm not saying anyone on this call, but some people will kind of smack them down. You can't even question. If you question it, you're an anti-Semite. Rabbi and I know a few folks like that in our movement that we wished weren't so loud, because that's ridiculous. You should always be able to question, respectfully, with a good heart, with a good nature, be able to question, right? I'm sure nobody agrees 100% with everything the Israeli government is doing. I don't agree with 100% of anything my government does, or frankly, that even I do, like as a person, right? We all disagree with different things, but we can't be smacking down legitimate, respectful inquiry that I think a lot of young people are having. So when someone smacks them down, they say, well, then screw you. If I can't even ask a basic question about why it's okay for Israel to do this or that, well, then forget it. Screw Israel, right? That's probably where some of this is coming from. So we have to allow for that.
Boy, that is the
debate,
best
again,
analysis. Hey, Paul, that is the best analysis I've had or heard on this subject since I started talking about it. You are absolutely right. Because when people on Israel's side do that, and the slapdown happens and they're accused of being anti-Semite, it shuts down dialogue and they only dig in harder and say, see, told you. That's your problem.
Right.
You nailed it.
I'm going to draw an important distinction there between asking questions, which are legitimate and real questions, and asking presumptive questions, which are actually making statements, and statements that are patently false. Best example of that is, John, when did you stop beating your wife? That's a question. I'm just asking questions. But the question I asked, of course, presumes that you ever laid a hand on your wife. That's a disgusting thing to say about a person. When is Israel going to stop committing genocide in Gaza? That's not a legitimate position. The problem with the problem with the fatigue here, there would be no fatigue if the Israelis were simply a little bit less moral, a little bit less generous. Let's be honest about the United States. If Mexico had attacked the United States in this fashion, the way Hamas, the government of Gaza, attacked Israel, northern Mexico would be molten glass. And if there were a couple of thousand hostages killed in the process, they would have said that's a very unfortunate cost of the war, but we have to do that. The Israelis did precisely the opposite. They're being accused of genocide when, my goodness, if there was a genocide, it would be over already. These are the same guys who eliminated the air force of the Iranians in 3 days. The entire air defenses of Iran were gone in 3 days. The Americans came in to drop the bomb like it was a walk in the park. The biggest problem they had was flight, just having to fly 36 hours to do the job. The actual mission, cakewalk, no defenses, nothing to worry about, drop the bombs, go home. Why? Because of the Israelis. If the Israelis had wanted to commit genocide in Gaza, there'd be nothing left. It also it goes from the assumption that Jewish lives have no value, that there is no such thing as rescuing the hostages, that couldn't possibly have been the goal. This is crazy.
I think we all wanted the hostages home. Paul, I'm going to give you the final word. This is a real issue. You saw, it's real. You cannot do the ostrich thing and put your hand under the head and think everything is fine. Right. It played out. It was ugly. And then you saw some of the questions being asked. There's a number of young people that are questioning, why we play footsie with Israel. They're just questioning it. You can argue that, Rabbi, all you want. You can say it's not right. But it is what it is, and I deal in the real world.
The way
everybody knows that
I believe some of the way to do that is confront it. You've just got to put when a guy asks a stupid question, you point out it's a stupid question, and then you go from there.
You coach basketball for 1 season at a high level, the high school level. You realize it is what it is. It's the scoreboard and it's the buzzer. That's all you got in that court. Now, Paul, give us the final word here, because I know Rabbi's a star and all that. He wants to talk a lot because he's now he's getting millions of views, and he's getting all kinds of clicks, and he's on YouTube and Rumble, and he's on stuff he never even heard.
That is probably true. He's
on social media that he doesn't even know what it is or how it works. That's how much of a star it is. I'm
a tech guy. I went to school with Bezos. Thank you very much.
Paul Teller, I'm going to give you the final word here for New Year's. Go ahead.
Saying that.
Love it. No, and the truth is, to summarize what we were all saying, right? It is real, like you said, John. It is horrible, and I think we just need to let some of the steam out of the pot. Meaning, let some of these young folks who are, many of them, the males, are just walking vessels of testosterone, right? You got to let some of the steam out of the pot, right? And just let them question what they need to question, hopefully respectfully. As Rabbi says, if it's not respectfully, let's steer them back towards a respectful, good-hearted way and show them what that their points or their questions are loaded. But we've got to just have the dialogue and not shut them down, because the more we shut them down, the truth is they're just going to snap back and then be against us. So got lots of work to do.
Truer words from Paul Teller have never been said. Paul, what did you eat for breakfast this morning? Do that again next time you're on, whatever it is.
Some eggs, a sausage.
Would you eat a
not exceptional for Paul. He's right.
Try the protein and fruit, all that. So, just saying.
I saw somebody the other day. I was at the airport and I saw somebody having breakfast, where you go and you eat at the counter, and they had 2 Pop-Tarts. And I'm like, well, if that's ever the breakfast of champions, there it is. Right? I'm like, my God, if I ate that, I would have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Paul, thanks for being with us. Rabbi, always
thank
good to have you guys on. We've had a
Happy
great
New
year. I've loved the dialogue.
We'll see you next one.
You guys are the best. You guys have a very happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I'll see you guys in 2026. We want to have a great year in 26, guys.